Hello, YouTube. This is Hogiyo here. I am going to be helping you guys out with a guide for the new Dazzled Magnar Advent event. So, we're going to be going over the skills beforehand on the event as we go through for the clear. I have already cleared at this point the new Epic Hell, and it is a difficult fight to actually manage to actually get a clear on. For me, the most difficult part was trying to not gear or not build different units that I didn't have already at the time. I actually ended up caving and I 6-starred 2 units that I needed to for my phase 3 to get my end of my clear, just for survivability reasons. But without any other delay, let's get into the actual abilities. So starting in on the fight here, Dazzle Magnar does automatically take the first turn, giving himself a skill null, giving himself stackable attack and speed, and dealing some damage onto your heroes. He has a 100% crit chance. He will, if he ever hits my Emoken specifically in this fight, my Emoken will counter and deal some good damage. Really good heroes to take into this would be characters like Champ Z, ML Celine, and MO Ken because of this. Because Dazzle Magnar does have a 100% crit chance. He does ignore effect resistance as well in Epic Hell specifically. So Champ Z will always get debuffed when the case of debuffing does happen, though it is only 65% chance of it landing in the first place. I'm handling this in a very special kind of way where I'm not rushing through the first wave because there's nothing pushing me to finish the first wave fast. You want to be able to clear off the speed buff Dazzled Magnar has called Swift Magic. To clear this off, you must actually debuff the small turtle and then hit it 4 times with single target attacks. After doing so, you'll clear off the speed buff, which will remove the Swift Magic from affecting you in Phase 2 and from Phase 3. When you get to Phase 2, you're going to do the same kind of thing, but you're going to do it with the mana counterattack. This is a separate ability that can only be removed in that phase. I'm going to be collecting souls throughout this fight, so it'll make myself have an extremely easier time in Phase 2 and then much easier in Phase 3 as well. My plan is to kill it as fast as possible in Phase 3, and I have devised a team specifically for that to handle that quite easily. I'm going to end up speeding this up here because I'm just going to be running this on auto with my Phyllis, my Maid, and my ML Ken. It's fairly easy with this team. There are going to be things that you can just take in besides these. Other characters you can take in, like I said, but previously ML Ken or ML Celine. Generally, you want some sort of kind of counter hero to be able to deal some damage. But if you do not have any, then you can obviously take in some actual DPS heroes to actually do some damage outside of them. Because the first wave is fairly safe. The first phase is actually very tame. Also, if you're wondering why I didn't put ML Ken in the front spot, it was because I didn't want him to counter as fast to kill and move through Magnar, even though attacking the first space is the mechanic, which would have easily made this a lot faster. It would not have given me as many souls as I did accrue at this during this time. because my plan was to gain as many souls during this as I could to increase the odds of my survivability in the other two phases to make things easier. Because it's going to be very difficult to actually clear this fight if you ignore those two buffs, because they are very important, giving both speed and the ability to counterattack after every single attack that you do, which very much has killed my DPSs many a times when I tried doing it the wrong way. But either way, we're moving into phase 2 now. In phase 2, the battle changes in at which now you want to debuff the enemy. So in this case, you want to debuff Magnar with 3 different debuffs generally. But you also want to clear off the mana counterattack buff now. This buff can only be removed by attacking Magnar when you have 2 or more buffs. And that is why I took Fire Charlotte here, because whenever Fire Charlotte's going to get hit, she's going to have both attack buff and defense buff, which is 2 buffs of what I need. Fire CC is probably the best hero to have for this, as she is a knight that can take Aureus to help mitigate damage. Her S2 has a strip ability. With an EE, you can get the speed down and attack down, and she has a defense break on S1 and provoke on S3, giving her 4 different options of debuffs that are able to be applied in this fight, but only 3 of those to Magnar. Momo is just one of my Soul Weavers that I actually do have geared, and it would have been easier for me to just run her like this. So that is the reasoning behind me taking those 3. Now, the mechanics here is the crystals, whenever they have a buff, are going to counterattack you. They have a chance of counterattacking you when they have a buff. So that is why you want to strip the buffs off of them. But not only that, they steal your buffs when you attack them on your on attacking them when they counterattack you. They will steal a buff with a counterattack. That is, if you have a buff at the time. And when the crystals have no buffs on them, they will not be able to counterattack you. Also, if both crystals have buffs at the same time, Dazzled Magnar will get his special ability called, I believe it is the King's Flame, which increases his damage and makes killing you all the much easier. So that is one of the reasons why you do want to just bring strips into this fight. This fight in phase 2 can be very, very difficult depending on the teams you go through with, because it does rely on stripping buffs, which can be 15%ed, and you can just lose a run to that. My run here is fairly stable most of the time, but there is much that could be improved. A lot of my heroes here have very low investment, especially this like Fire Charlotte here. Even though she is level 60, she is like +4 Mola. It's like 2 in the S2, and 2 in the S1 and like 2 in the S3. So damage-wise, I could be pushing a lot faster with proper investment. And the Fire Charlotte's on Rage set as well. You can throw her on Lifesteal or Speed or so on and so forth. You can throw a different hero in here as well. Other characters that would be good here are characters that have self buffs. I would recommend characters in this case being either fire or ice if you're taking Momo or Fire CC in, because you do want to actually have the elemental bonus here, because the elemental bonus in phase 2 is speed. So you'll be able to take more turns in lap and be able to outturn Magnar to give you more chance of actually being able to clear. And this is why I ended up saving souls throughout the first wave, so I can continuously burn the Fire CC to be able to strip every single turn I need to use the S2. So I used the time and advantage I got through the first wave to make it my second wave a lot easier, and for me to actually guarantee my third wave kill as well. And you'll see that here in a bit as well. Okay, and then after this goes, I'm going to be reapplying my defense break and getting a dual attack and moving into phase 3. Now, from phase 3, there is multiple things going on, but from at this point, you're really just looking at a DPS race. So I'm going to be starting off here, and I'm going to be literally just going in for a defense break with my Amelia, Flan, Sigrid. I'm going to be using the souls that I gained in the first wave and kept throughout the second wave to just push through and deal enough damage to move through. If I don't land a defense break at this point, that's where it would be very much over for me, as I'm going to be just DPSing through and trying to cleave through this as fast as possible. Now, because this is a very fast section for me doing this, I'm still going to end up explaining what the mechanics are throughout this. Because the only real mechanics that I experienced at this point after going through was the fact that I ended up getting burned on the first turn. So at the start of that fight, obviously you saw you get burned and attacked AoE by the enemy, Mr. Magnar. I use Amelia to cleanse all the buffs, all the debuffs at that point, and give me a barrier on everybody. That's why I have her speed tuned to go before the Flan. Having very strong ice damage dealers at that point in time for the elemental bonus, plus the actual, what is it called? The elemental bonus that goes on as well from Advent, which in this case, because I used Flan, Sigrid, and Amelia, gave me 40% extra attack, which made clearing through that section of the fight much easier. Now, there is another way of handling this, and that is to take characters that do multi-turn attacks. In this case, characters like Sigrid, or Karen, or characters that can CR push like Terranor Guard, so on and so forth, who can take multiple turns in one turn to increase the amount of damage you deal. Because the ability of Magnar at that point is he'll increase his damage the more times you hit him, but at the same time, you will increase the damage that you deal when you hit him as well. This section of the fight is a very much difficult section if you do not have enough damage to actually kill the boss. In Epic Hell, you will need either 1 to 2 damage dealers that are high damage dealers, and you want them to be fairly fast as well, because you do want them to be able to take their own turn in case one of your other supports do die. Anyways, finishing this off here. Thank you guys for watching. Please let me know how I can fix up my channel so far with more things that I can do to actually improve upon. I know my guides probably currently very much suck, and they will be improved upon in the future. Please let me know ways at which I can do that. I'm not good at editing whatsoever, and I'm the only one doing this. Gotta start somewhere, though. But if you have any questions regarding this, I have a lot of time on my hands to do some research into Advent here. I only have 3 more attempts to actually clear on Advent, and I will be doing that here soon in a bit. But I believe most players will not end up being able to clear Epic Hell just because of the intensity of the actual fight. Throughout the 3 phases, it is a very difficult fight to actually handle, and I think that most people that are not really endgame players would be able to actually complete. I'll have my gear here in the end of the video, as well as I'll end up posting a link somewhere in the description as well, most likely. Thank you guys once again for stopping by, and I'll catch you later.